Today I'm taking a look at my sister's computer. It was dropped while moving, and now it won't boot. We'll inspect it for physical damage, run diagnostics, and check it for data integrity. This is Technoscope.
Welcome to the channel. This is Technoscope.
Welcome back to Twisted Curve Productions. I hope you enjoyed our previous videos, and as you can see, we finally got a functioning set. In our last couple of videos, I had just gotten these new lights because the old lights were incapable of making long cut videos. They weren't quite bright enough, and the color temp is kind of wrong. But then when I got these new lights, my videos looked worse, and part of that is because I didn't really know how to coordinate these lights with this camera, which by the way has some limited settings. And one of the biggest problems that I figured out using the old way I was set up was the wall behind me was so reflective that the gain had to come way down on the videos to compensate for the glare that was behind me. And that's kind of basically because I have these new lights, and because there was very little room where I was recording. I really didn't have a way to move the overhead light away from the wall because I was so cramped in the space that I had. So what I had to do between the last two videos that I recorded and this one was I had to buy this nice backdrops that you see back here. It cost a pretty penny, but I think it was well worth it because I'm looking at the screen right now behind the camera, and this picture looks tons better than the last video that I recorded. So I really hope that you appreciate everything, all the stuff that I got. This little guy right here, the camera, well, not the camera, but this little guy, the lights, the backdrop, this tablecloth, and a lot of stuff that's going into these productions have been paid for by me. And like I said in previous videos, we're not making money on any of this stuff, not yet. But if you keep going to Amazon and clicking those links, we will be able to actually break even sometime in maybe 2016. I don't know. Yeah, but if you want to know anything about this stuff, I'll put links in the description below. This stuff is not super expensive, considering what you can spend on some of the stuff that it takes to make videos. This stuff right here is dirt cheap. There are guys that are making YouTube videos that have spent more on a single piece of equipment than my entire setup is worth. So it can be done for cheap. It can even be done for cheaper than what I've done it for so far. But I thought that I want this channel to be pretty professional, and things like this backdrop and these lights just make sense to me. Now, I know you will notice, first thing you will notice about this backdrop is that there are wrinkles all over it, and the instructions say that you take a steamer or an iron and put it in steam mode, but don't actually iron the what they call a muslin backdrop. Just use steam to take out the wrinkles. I'm not going to do that, honestly, because the setup takes about 2 hours to put up for me to do any video. And then not only once I have the everything put together, once I do my videos, I have to take it all apart again and pack it back up. So getting these wrinkles out, it's not going to happen until I get a permanent set. And right now I'm in my living room. I know it doesn't look like my living room, and that's awesome because that's exactly what I want. You shouldn't tell that I'm in a house. This should look like a professional set. I have a black screen. It also came with the white screen, and it also came with the green screen that I'll be playing with. Not sure if I want to do green screen stuff, but I might, I might decide to get an animated background or put Twisted Curve behind me or Technoscope or something, who knows. But for now, the black screen works fine, and this, honestly, I am amazed how great it looks on my TV screen right now. This is perfect. I'm very happy with it. if you have any suggestions or anything, let me know. My camera is not super complicated. It's not a DSLR. It's a camcorder, a 1080p camcorder from 2010 or something like that. It was a great camera for back then, for consumer grade, but it's not super complicated. I actually don't have the option to adjust both the aperture and the shutter rate on this particular camera. It has to be one or the other. If you change one, it puts the other in automatic mode, and there's not really much I can do about that. But like I said, it looks great, so who cares right now? So let me get on to what we're doing today. I will be using my phone to record my B-roll footage because I'm not going to move that camera, and we're going to actually take a look at my sister's computer today. My sister just moved from Dallas, down the street from where I live, down to Houston, and in the move, they dropped her computer. The moving guys dropped her computer, and now the computer doesn't work. And what we're here to do today is to see if we can fix that computer. So we're going to take it apart, and we're gonna inspect it, go through it like a professional technician would, and we're gonna see if we can figure out what's wrong with this computer and why it won't boot up. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, guys, so this is my sister's computer right here. It's a HP Pavilion P6000 series, model P6523W. Not really sure how old this thing is, but it has a Windows 7 sticker on there, so I guess it could be as old as 2009. Now, this particular computer, I used to actually refurbish these. I worked for a company that was owned by a retail store where everybody wears blue shirts, and we used to take these in, either the return ones, the damaged ones, or whatever it may be, and wipe hard drives and clean them up, fix whatever we could on them, and we'd sell them on the secondary market. So this particular computer, I know a lot about it. I've worked on plenty of them. I'm not really sure what would be the problem with this one, but I've seen all kinds of things, and this one has been dropped, and you can see the panel right here is not even attached anymore. So there's no telling. The CPU could have come loose, the memory could have popped out, or something could just be catastrophically wrong with it at this point. There was never a real common issue with this particular one. I've seen hundreds of them, and this particular model doesn't really have any known issues. So, other than being slow. So let's go ahead and take a look at it and see what we can find out. Now, this particular case, I know for a fact, uses Torx screws. It's a Torx bit. Or you can use, I guess, a flathead on here, which is not quite as easy. But I do have my tools. And I will be doing videos on tools eventually. I am a very big fan of Husky tools. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. But these are all Husky tools. Even this magnetic tray that I have is a Husky tool. I have no sponsorship through Home Depot, which is Husky is their brand. I have no sponsorship with Husky or Home Depot, but as a former employee of Home Depot, I've seen a lot of their stuff, and their tools are great. They are very good, and not only do you get a great tool when you buy one, but they also give you lifetime warranties on pretty much any of their tools. If something goes wrong with it, you just take it up to any Home Depot and be like, hey, this broke, or something happened to it, and they'll exchange it for you right there at the customer service counter. And the other thing is, Home Depot is everywhere in the US and in several other countries, and when you have that kind of convenience, why not? People used to go with Craftsman because it was attached to Sears, but they're not as big anymore, and Craftsman is no longer an American-made product. It's made, I think, in China or something. But the Husky tools, funny thing, are actually made by the company that used to make Craftsman tools when they were made in America. So it's a quality product. So anyway, let's get to this computer. See if I can figure out which bit this takes. That looks like it's the one, and this is a T15. Pull one out. Let's see. Bits fit easily in the end. And we're going to take this cover off, and I will switch to the cell phone camera so that you can get a close-up view of what's on the inside. Put that over there. So here's the back of the computer. As you can see, it needs to be cleaned out. I think I'm going to hit it with the air compressor before I send it back to my sister, if I'm able to fix it. This case actually has an exhaust fan. I didn't even know they put that on pre-built computers. Let's see, VGA, DVI out only, no HDMI, no display port. Looks like USB 2.0 only, which is about right for a computer this old. And let's look at the inside to see if we can determine what's wrong with it other than its old age. Oh, the first thing you always do is a visual inspection, because a lot of times it's something very simple, something very easily fixed. So you want to check all the cables, make sure everything is attached properly, everything looks like it should be, nothing looks jarred, nothing looks out of place. And this is kind of funny. You have what looks like a 24 pin slot, but it's only got 20 pins plugged into it. I guess maybe they use the other 4 if you get a bigger processor. I'm not sure. And that, I'm not sure what that is. I know it's not MSATA. Definitely not M.2. Actually, it could be MSATA, I guess. It was about the time when these computers came out. It says mini PCIe. Didn't know this computer had that. I wonder if it'll take a MSATA. That would definitely make it a lot faster. So yeah, let's check the RAM. The RAM looks fairly good. Check the hard drive. Plugs feel okay. I don't know if you can see those SATA cables down there. I'm gonna check those. Those feel okay as well. I think everything feels like it's properly seated. Could be a simple matter of they dropped the case so hard that the hard drive is actually damaged. It's another reason why I can't wait for us to get away from spinning media and go straight to solid state. Solid state just has so many benefits. It's not just fast, it's a lot more durable. Checking the CD-ROM drive, which probably wouldn't stop it from booting up anyway. Power supply could have something jarred loose in it, but I doubt it. When you shake the case, it doesn't rattle or anything. Really don't like, I'm a little OCD. I really don't like how it's missing 4 pins out of the power connection. So physically, I've looked at the case. I've looked all throughout the inside of it, and though it's been dropped, I don't see anything physically damaged. Chances are, since it won't necessarily boot, there's a good possibility that the hard drive itself is actually damaged. And I don't like replacing spinning media with another spinning media hard drive unless it's a device where it doesn't really matter how fast it is, like a game system. even though people like their games to boot up fast. It really doesn't matter on the game system. In this particular case, I would probably recommend going with an SSD of some kind. Now, the only similar size you're going to find in a SSD would be a 500 gig, which is still probably more than enough for my system. A 500 gigabyte hard drive, unfortunately, will cost somewhere between $170 to $200 in this day. Now, that's not really expensive when you look at the history of SSDs, but for this particular computer, dropping $200 on it could be a little much. I'm honestly, I'm not sure if she'd want to do that. You could almost buy a new slow computer that could probably do more than this does for $200 at the store. So I'm not really sure it's actually worth it to spend $200 on just an SSD. Of course, buying an SSD would speed the computer up considerably if it does work again. It has 3 of 4 RAM slots filled, and 2 of them have 2 gig sticks in it, and 1 of them has 1 gig. So it has an odd combination of 5 gigabytes of RAM, which is kind of weird. This computer should have been a lot faster than it was for 5 gigs of RAM. Honestly, I think it might just be a dead hard drive. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull the hard drive and test it, see if I can figure out what's going on with it. SATA power connections, so I might have to get out my hard drive dock and see what I can do with that hard drive. Okay, so we're looking at the inside of the computer now, and this is the hard drive. Like I said, it's a 640 gig Western Digital Blue, and we're going to pull that out and test it because more than likely that's the problem. So anyway, let's get to removing this hard drive. Same size screw as the back. What you want to do is take these 2 screws out. Just throw it right there on the little magnetic tray. Hard to record and do this at the same time, so forgive me for that. So this little tab is right here. Push down on that and pull the hard drive vertically, and that dislodges it from the back once you've taken the screws out. And this thing is very dirty. We're gonna have to clean this. The old Western Digital Blue. So now the first step is to remove the hard drive from this cage that it comes in. Put my screw in there. So now that we've removed the screws, basically hard drive just slides out from the end, and it's quite dirty, so I'm going to clean it off. Okay, so now that we have the hard drive clean, what we're going to do basically is take the dock, the external dock here, and connect my USB cable. Sorry if that was loud. We're going to take the USB cable, connect it to my laptop computer here, and plug it into the back in the USB port, and then we're going to take the hard drive and insert it into the dock. And you want the connections on it to be facing the little slot right there. That's where the 2.5 inch drive would go if you're using that instead. So you just want to make sure that that lines up. Make sure that it's firmly seated in there. And then on the back, here's a power button right here. And we're gonna hit that power button, and there we go. not really sure if you can hear this or not, so let me see if I can, how close I can get this. There's a possibility that my ceiling fan is actually louder than this hard drive. So, it's not really making any strange sounds or anything, so I don't think the hard drive is bad. But and it did come up. Windows automatically found it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a simple scan disk on it, and see if it finds any errors or anything with it. So as you can see right now, this red light is flashing. That's the activity light. And basically what it's doing is running a scan disk or check disk, whatever they call it nowadays, on the OS partition. And honestly, I don't think anything is really wrong with this drive. So it's scanning a lot because this is a Windows partition that doesn't belong to this computer. So it's really going to have to go through it and check to make sure everything is working like it should be. And while I have it attached to my laptop, I think I'll run a virus scan on it. It doesn't hurt to run maintenance whenever you have the chance. Okay, so now the scan is complete. My computer actually says some problems were found and fixed. That could mean that it had corrupt data on it. That could mean a host of things. Check this. Discovered free space marked as allocated in the master file table bitmap. Check this. Discovered free space marked as allocated in the volume bitmap. Windows has made corrections to the file system. So apparently it wasn't reporting free space that it should have. But that shouldn't have stopped the computer from booting, I don't think. It didn't seem like an error bad enough to cause that kind of problem. So since I already have it connected to my computer, I'm just going to go ahead and run a virus scan on it just to make sure we rule out all those possibilities. I doubt that would stop the computer from booting, but why not? So now I have Bitdefender running a volume scan on the hard drive. Not really sure how long that would take. It kind of depends on the hard drive itself. She doesn't have much data stored on this thing, including the operating system. She's only using 69.7 gigabytes out of what Windows reports as 584 total gigabytes. So I mean, that's not much of anything. Like I said, she doesn't really need a powerhouse computer or anything. Most of what she does is internet related, and most of her data is probably stored on the cloud. So I'll let this run, and it may or may not find viruses, but either way, it's always good to have active software that's scanning for you. Now, I personally use Bitdefender. It's been one of the top rated virus scans, or actually internet security suites, for years. Bitdefender is one of the lowest has one of the lowest impacts on your system of all the virus scans, and at the same time it catches most of the problems. It's just one of the greats. So now with Bitdefender is a great piece of software. It's very light. In fact, it's so light that except for the monthly scans that I personally set up for it to do on my computers, you really don't even notice that it's running. It's so light, it's just there in the background. And really the only reason you notice that it's running that monthly scan is because the window pops up and says, hey, we're scanning all your files right now. So great piece of software, and if you want to buy that, I can put the description down below. Great piece of software. If you don't have internet security, definitely get it. Do not rely on Windows Defender. Windows Defender does not protect you from hardly anything. Okay, so that took forever and a lot longer than I was expecting it to take. But the total result was my computer found 131 issues of adware, bloat, viruses, whatever it may be. That is a lot. And she was running McAfee. And I hate McAfee. It basically slows down your computer and doesn't catch anything, so there's no point in even using it. But basically, I'm going to go ahead and fix all these problems using my software, and then I'm going to put this computer back together and see what I can find out, because everything physically looks fine. The hard drive is checked out, and it ran this scan, which took about an hour and 20 minutes to finish. So I don't see any other things that I can really do to fix. There's not really anything I've seen that needs to be fixed, other than the fact that she says the computer doesn't boot, which, I mean, this could have done something to it. It may just be a bad corrupt file from Windows. I've seen that happen before, where Windows just won't boot because one of the necessary files is corrupt. So it might just be a simple matter of the OS needing to be reinstalled. And we're here. This is July 24th. We're here 5 days before the Windows 10 release. So if anything, if I need to reinstall everything, I'll just go ahead and reinstall everything, and then I'll get it ready for the upgrade to Windows 10, which will make the computer run tons better, along with a Bitdefender install, which was planned on this computer before she moved, but we never actually had the time to get it on there. And that'll stop all these issues, like this 131 unresolved issues of adware and viruses that are on there now. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix that, and then we're gonna put this computer back together, and we're gonna see what we can do from there. So my sister's hard drive is finally finished scanning. The computer found and fixed 131 problems, or actually it found 138. 7 are password encrypted archives. Probably not hers. Probably something that was downloaded along with all this malware. And they're password protected, so it can't do anything. But what I will be doing is, if I get the computer running again, I'm going to install Bitdefender on her computer. Also, I want to make a correction. Earlier I said that she had McAfee. No, she didn't have McAfee anymore. She upgraded McAfee to Avast. Avast is a decent Android protection software suite, but for the computer, apparently it sucks, because Bitdefender found 131 problems that Avast was not taking care of. So I won't recommend that for anyone. Even though they have a free version, you need to spend the money and go ahead and get Bitdefender. There's just no other way to say it. You need good protection. Kaspersky is a good one. Even though it's bloated, it's still pretty good software. But my favorite right now is Bitdefender, and they are one of the award-winning software suites. So this is already finished. We're going to stick this back in her computer, and we're going to find out if it actually works, or what it's doing, and if there's anything else I can fix on it. Now we're going to remove this. Stick this drive back into her computer and see if I can get it to boot. And if I can't get it to boot, then we'll look at other options. Something is stopping it from booting, so we'll figure it out. Now, while I was outside looking for my dock and these other parts, I also came across this old adapter that I had. No telling how old this thing is, but it's actually a 20 pin to 24 pin adapter. I'm going to stick it in this computer because the motherboard has a 24 pin connection with a 20 pin power supply in there. I don't understand why they did that, but I don't need this thing. I will probably never need this thing ever again, as I never plan to use a computer this old or a power supply that old. So might as well put it to some use. Maybe it can supply more power for something to make the computer more stable or whatever. I don't know. Don't really care. So here's the inside of the case, and you see the 20 pin connector going into the 24 pin motherboard. And we're going to just disconnect this cable right here by pressing on this, pulling that up. And what we're going to do here is take this adapter and plug it in. So first things first, take the motherboard connection, take the adapter, plug that in there, and then the 24 pin side, we're going to take that and we're going to plug this into the motherboard. Like so. Till it clicked. And there you go. Now we have power to all 24 pins. Nothing is underpowered, except for the fact that this power supply is probably underpowered itself. And we're going to replace the hard drive, which is back in its case. Now, if you remember earlier, there was a clip that I had to press down there that has that 1 on it, and you see those holes, the tabs on the bottom of this cage. It's kind of hard to see right here, but there's little tabs on there, and they need to actually go down in those holes, and then you have to slide the case into position. Place. And there we go. It's locked into position. Now, if you don't really know how these cables go back on, you can plug them in before you replace the hard drive. This is another new. Got those back in there. Check this connection for the power to the hard drive. It looks like it's good. That fan looks horrible. That connection there looks like it's good. Other than a lot of dirt in here, for the most part, everything looks fine. And this motherboard actually has, not only does it have solid material capacitors, but it also has those standard electrolytic capacitors that are known to fail. The high-end custom desktop motherboard manufacturers went away from those years ago because they were having problems with them failing. So nowadays you only see these solid material capacitors, which are much longer lasting than the electrolytic capacitors, the old style. So now that we have that back in there, everything looks fine. Everything looks good on this side, so there's a lot of dirt on here. It could be contamination keeping this thing from booting, or it could just be that it's an old computer. Power button seems like it works just fine. I honestly don't see anything that should keep this thing from booting. The hard drive checked out okay. I mean, it had errors. during the scan, but all the errors that my computer found were related to free space issues, which wouldn't affect data that's on there. It only affects how much free space you see. At least that's what the computer was telling me. The RAM looks like it's in the slots like it's supposed to be. The CPU fan, heatsink and fan is firmly in place, which means the CPU hasn't moved. It's not a custom built computer, so there's nothing really heavy in here that could really move. If the hard drive works, then nothing else physically should be wrong with it, because that's the most likely to be damaged during a drop. So I think we're gonna put this back together and try to boot it up and see what happens. See if we can get it put together. That may not be possible. I'm not gonna try to tighten that down. There's so much damage here that there's not really anything I can do for it. Yeah, I'm gonna plug this in and see if I can get it to boot up or something. So after I did all that stuff and scanned the hard drive, disinfected it, removed the 131 problems that hard drive had, reconnected everything, and even replaced that 20-pin connector with the 24-pin adapter. Put everything back together, and the computer booted up just fine, and it seems a lot faster than it was before. So I'm thinking the problem wasn't that the computer was dropped, although that could be a problem. I'm thinking the problem was the malware and viruses that were on the hard drive. It's not connected to the internet yet, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and install Bitdefender before it's reconnected. Get that up and running, and make sure that this computer doesn't catch any more of those viruses or nasty bugs from the internet. It's just a problem waiting to happen. Like I said, Windows Defender is not a solution. You need Bitdefender, and you can buy the Bitdefender by checking the links down below. And this concludes the repair on my sister's computer. Basically, it came down to being a software problem. The computer was dropped, but it was more of a software problem than anything else. On my next video, well, I'm not sure if there's going to be a video between now and then, but next Wednesday is July 29th. That is the official release day of Windows 10. I'm not sure if my computers will get it on that day. This computer is set up to automatically download it. It's running Windows 7 right now, and my desktop computer, the one that I edit my videos with, is running Windows 8.1. Both are set to get Windows 10, but it kind of comes down to when Microsoft wants to release it. They said that not everybody's going to get it on the 29th, but seeing as how I run a YouTube channel, I hope that I get it on the 29th. I will be recording the installation to the laptop, and I will be posting that as a video on my YouTube channel, so you can look forward to seeing that. It'll give you a step-by-step the way that I install it. It would also show you any settings that I changed. I haven't really worked with Windows 10 much, but there will be settings changes. I always change the settings on Windows. This computer will also be getting some other upgrades, so we'll be going through that as well. But look forward to the Windows 10 video, hopefully Wednesday or Thursday next week. There will be other videos on Windows 10. I will be doing how-to videos. I will be doing demonstrations of features and things like that, so you can look forward to those as well. Once everything is kind of settled, once the dust is kind of settled, I'm going to start tinkering with stuff like how to install Windows 10, do a clean installation, because I hate upgrading. I'm only doing the upgrade because that's how you get the free OS. But as soon as I get it on these computers, I'm going to figure out how I can install Windows 10 on both of them fresh, with the fresh install, without all the other stuff that's already on these computers. Now, some of you might say, well, what's wrong with Windows 7? Windows 7 is a slow operating system. Yes, it's nice, it looks pretty, and it's straightforward, easy to use, but it's very slow. It is extremely slow. And if you've ever used Windows 8 or 8.1, you might have been too concerned with hating how it looks to notice that Windows 8 and 8.1 are both very optimized and are extremely fast operating systems. The user side is ugly, but the back side is extremely efficient, and it's why I run it on my desktop, because I tried to go back to Windows 7 on it after using Windows 8, and I just noticed it was so slow. It was annoyingly slow, and that's with 24 gigs of RAM and a SSD in there to boot from. It just wasn't working out. It was not optimized to take advantage of that kind of speed. So Windows 10 basically gives you Windows 7 plus 8, takes all the good stuff from both of them and puts it together, plus some other good features, and it's supposed to be a more secure operating system, because supposedly the old style Windows programs don't have direct access to the OS like they have had previously. So we'll dig further into all that kind of stuff as it comes out. But for right now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you use our Amazon affiliate link if you ever need to buy anything from Amazon. It helps us a great deal. I can't stress how much it helps us. And I really want to thank you for watching these videos. I'm Elemental, and this is TechnoScope.